As the festive season is approaching, let me give you something far more valuable than rumors and WhatsApp forwards. The real legal story of what happened in 2025 for immigrants in the UK. And yes, I am going to say it plainly. It was good news for some, bad news for others. And for many people, it quietly changed the entire roadmap to settlement. I am Sajjad Kiani with 20 years of experience, and I want you to think about this for a second. If your entire plan was visa, 5 years, ILR, then 2025 was the year the government started rewriting that assumption. Now, before we go into the details, here is the big picture. The government direction in 2025 was consistent from start to finish. Reduce lower skilled migration, raise the bar on work routes, tighten compliance checks, and more towards a tougher settlement model where you do not simply reach ILR by time served, you earn it. So let's connect the dots properly. First, the headline change that affected thousands of family and employees, and that is adult social care. From July 2025, the system moved to effectively shut down new overseas recruitment for care workers and senior care workers. In simple terms, if a care provider is saying, can we still bring new staff from abroad for these roles? The answer became, in most cases, no. That was the bad news, and it hit hard because care was one of the biggest sponsorship pipelines for ordinary working families. However, here is the important connection, and this is where some people got good news. If you were already in the United Kingdom on the route before the change, there has been a limited transitional window to extend, and in many cases to change sponsor in country, but only within the time-limited framework set out in the rules. So the door to the new entrants narrowly sharp, while people already inside the system were given a restricted but real pathway to continue. And that takes me to the second big shift. Skilled worker sponsorship became more selective and more expensive. On skills, the direction moved back towards graduate level roles. That means sponsorship is increasingly aimed at RQ Level 6 type roles, with only window, time-limited exceptions for anything below that level. So if you are thinking my job title sounds professional, that is not enough anymore. The occupation code, the skill level requirements, and the actual duties must match the roles and rules, because the Home Office is not forgiving when the role is even slightly misdescribed. Then on salary, the bar moved up again. The general salary threshold increased, and the practical effect is that even where a role is eligible, many employers either cannot afford sponsorship at a new levels, or they are simply less willing to take the risk. So again, this is where you see the pattern. The UK is not saying no to work migration. It is saying yes, but only if you are higher skilled, higher paid, and easier to justify. Now, let me widen the lens, because 2025 was not only about work route, it was also about border becoming more reactive, more digital, and more financially policed. We saw visa-free travel tighten for certain nationalities, and that matters because it tells you how the Home Office thinks. The approach is now data-driven. If the Home Office sees a spike in risk indicators, it will act fast. So if you are from a country that has enjoyed easier entry, do not assume the status is permanent. The lesson of 2025 is that border policy can change quickly, and when it changes immediately. And now, here is the part people keep missing, but it is quietly one of the most dangerous developments: suitability. The immigration rules have increasingly foregrounded suitability as a refusal tool. So even if you qualify on the route, you can still be refused because of a wider conduct and compliance issues. And when I say compliance, I mean real life things that catch ordinary people: unpaid NHS charges above the threshold, unpaid litigation cost owed to the Home Office, and a general tightening of refusal logic where the Home Office is less willing to overlook issues that used to be argued down. So the border is not just identity and documents anymore. It is also about your financial footprints and compliance record. Now, let's connect that to what is coming next, because 2026 starts with a very practical hurdle: English language. The English language requirements increases to a higher level for key worker routes, and this matters because it is a sort of rule change that causes refusal, not because someone is dishonest, because the wrong certificate is submitted, the level is wrong, or the applicant assumes the old requirement still applies. So if your plan involves a skilled worker application, an extension, or a switch, you need to treat English evidence like a critical legal document. Correct levels, correct providers, correct validity, correct timing. Now, we arrive at a big political and a legal storm on the horizon: earned settlement. In late 2025, the Home Office launched a consultation that signals the most strategic shift of all, moving away from the comfort of predictable 5-year settlement path for many people and moving towards a longer baseline where settlement is not simply reached, it is earned. The headline proposal is where a baseline moves 10 years for settlement for many migrants. That is the bad news for anyone who has built their entire family timeline around 5 years. But again, the system is not one size fits all. The proposal is built around sliding scale. And this is where some people may see good news. If you are in a higher value routes, higher earnings, higher talent categories, or roles the government treats as strategically important, the model suggests you may qualify sooner. Meanwhile, if you are in more ordinary roles with lower earnings or with any compliance issues, the pathway could stretch. And the way the Home Office frames it is through 4 pillars, and you need to understand them because this is how your future applications will be judged. Character, your criminal record and wider conduct. Integration, stronger English and more meaningful evidence that you are established in the United Kingdom. Contribution, sustained economic contribution, tax compliance, and a clear pattern of supporting yourself. Residence, continuous lawful residence, and tighter scrutiny of absences and gaps. So if you want the practical takeaway, it is this. Under an earned settlement model, your timeline is no longer just a calendar. It becomes an assessment of your behavior, your consistency, your work history, and your compliance. Now, I also want to address students primarily, because 2025 policy direction confirmed that the graduate route is likely to become less generous in future. The proposal is a reduced post-study work period for most graduates from 2027, which means less time to find sponsorship, less time to stabilize, and more pressure to plan earlier. For students, that is the difference between I have time and I need a strategy from the start. So where does that leave immigrants as we head into 2026? It leaves you with one clear message. 2025 was the year that UK raised the bar and tighten the system. Some people benefited because they are already inside the route and can use transitional options. Others lost because the door to new entry narrowed, and almost everyone now faces a more compliance-heavy system where evidence, timing, and preparation matter more than ever. And let me say this confidently as your solicitor, not as a commentator. The biggest mistake people will make going into 2026 is treating their immigration status like a routine renewal. It is not. It is a legal application under changing rules, and one missed requirement can cost you months, sometimes years. If you want a simple way to stay safe, do these 3 things. First, audit your route, job code, salary, sponsorship compliance, and your timeline to settlement. And then second one is clean up your suitability risk, debts, documentation gaps, anything that could trigger refusal. Third, prepare strong English and strong evidence early so you are not caught by next rule change at the date of the decision. If you need help doing that properly, Kiani Legal can review your route, your sponsor position, your compliance history, and your settlement strategy, and then map a plan.